Hey guys, so welcome to another episode of the Productivity Push. This is episode 7. I'm JP Adams and I'm documenting my journey of going from a thinker to a doer. So, um, this month, I think a quick recap, I'm working on a nonfiction book for NaNoWriMo, and that's the National Novel Writers Month. And I think currently I'm about 11,000 words in, which is about, I think 20% of the way there. So that's going pretty well. But here in these daily pushes, I do 10 minutes of updating you on, more or less the grind, the push, lessons learned from the day of trying to be productive and doing more things than, really I thought that I could maintain. So today, I think one of the things that I'm realizing is that a lot of things that end up eating up at people just has to do with making really good use of the small chunks of time that cross your day. So for me today, I ended up getting about, I think, 1700 plus words as far as like what I was writing for the day, and I had to do that in multiple writing sessions. So I went to lunch at work, and then after that I kind of went to the Starbucks around the corner and wrote for a little bit. And then I went to, when I got home, I had to wait till, my daughter was asleep, and then I got to writing some more. So I think if you look at that kind of thing where, you find some pockets to write, and then I think that's what I actually had to do, was wait till, the time was right for me to do the writing and then do the homework for the Business Ignition Bootcamp. Now, the funny thing is, some things just take a lot more concentration, but if you get off your cycle of, whatever works for you, it can be difficult to get back on it. So, for example, knowing that all my best times can only happen in the morning or it can happen at night. So I can either do it before everybody's awake, or I can do it after everybody goes to sleep. So because of that, the more that things are happening after everyone goes to sleep, the later I end up staying up. And so because I stay up that late, I end up, having to not have time in the morning, because I'm not gonna stay up late and then wake up early to catch up, because that's gonna wreck my day and probably wreck any productivity that I have. So it's kind of like trying to find a good balancing point where maybe I'll catch up over the weekend, for example. But maybe that won't be the case. I'm not sure really when I'm going to get to catch up, or if I'm going to get to catch up, because writing at night is working well, but falling asleep is not, dozing off on the keyboard is not really the best way to get the best content out of yourself. I did have a breakthrough today though, where it's like I started to figure out how or what my writing voice is, because I don't think I found that yet. So, looking at what I've been writing up to now, because I tend to write in a very stream of consciousness style, and the book that I'm writing is called Thinker versus Doer, and I get some ideas on, do I want to have some narrative that's basically showing like, okay, here's how I think it would do it, here's how a doer does it, where you show some of the things that don't lead to results, but it's just you pondering ideas in your head. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at, trying to see, if that would work. But one of the other things I've been considering is coming in here and doing these videos daily, trying to see, is there a way for me to make these things, better, more entertaining, more emotion? I think obviously I'm definitely conscious of the fact that, most people in the house are asleep as we're recording this, and it doesn't matter if I was doing this in the morning or at night. Projecting to the point where, likely waking people up is not the best way to approach it. So, but I'm also trying to think of, how can I help people get more value from this? Because I think most of the struggles that I'm having is kind of like motivation and showing up. So it's like, I don't know, for anyone that's ever tried to write a book, I think the value would be there for this, because it's kind of like the grind of showing up. Like today, I did not feel like showing up at all. But, I found the time, I carved the time in, and it's almost something where I know that if I sit down and write for a certain amount of time, the word count will go up. And sometimes I come back and find that the content that I may not have thought was amazing at the time was actually fairly good. So I think that's one of those things that I'm definitely working on, is just keep on showing up even when I don't feel like it, because sometimes I don't feel like it. And today I think it was quite a little bit tiring, a little bit exhausting, but I'm trying to find ways to shift that. But I think even when you don't feel like it, if you come down, you sit down and you start writing, then that shows up. Some things that I've been using to help me as far as basically getting output was, I used the Pomodoro technique. So that's where you time box what you're doing for 25 minutes and then you take a break. So really the way I set it up is I come in and I set up a 10-minute timer. I write for 10 minutes, almost like sort of a way to warm up my fingers. And then I take a 5-minute break. Usually I play something really upbeat, and then I come back, excuse me. I come back and I can write for 25 minutes after that. And, if the time is there, then I can do multiple 25-minute sessions. So I can do 2 25-minute sessions plus a warm up. And that'll usually put me well in the over, 1,700, 1,800, 2,000 words, which moves me a lot closer to the NaNoWriMo official word count of 50,000 words, which is 200 pages. So hopefully that background noise is not really messing with the quality of the video too much. But really, I think a lot of the things that cross my mind as far as how do I make this more valuable maybe comes down to covering some of the things that I've written for the day in the productivity push. Maybe that'll be something, because I wrote the book for myself, and one of the things that happened that kind of inspired today's chapter was that I was working with someone at work, and they were struggling with something. So of course, they're going back into their head, and they were like, well, I don't know how to deal with this. I think it's really big. I think it's going to take a really long time to do, and so I decided to kind of sit down with him with a piece of paper and just kind of go through it. Like, all right, let's break it down. Let's come up with what's the high level first pass, right? And then we came up with it. And then we started to break down each one chunk by chunk. And as we went through that, then we got it down to pieces that were small enough that, he could sit down and estimate how long that was going to take. Now, I was walking away from that thinking, just noticing that he was relatively calmer and a lot less stressed after that, exchange of going through and actually getting those things down on the list and having him work on it. So I figured out, and it just struck me like, what, get it out of your head. And I thought about all the times where I've been stuck, more or less looping on an idea or just repeating something over and over in my head. And I figured out that, that's a key thing. So some of the things that I ended up writing about today was, how do you get ideas out of your head? And I give you a quick 3 of them that came off the list, which is 1, phone a friend. So you can call someone and talk about if something is bothering you, and that'll actually help you get that out of your head. 2, if you're religious, you could try prayer. So, speak to God. And 3 would be rubber ducking, which is something that's popular in the software circles, where you basically find an inanimate object and you talk to it. And through that process, you are basically clarifying your thoughts and getting the ideas out of your head. I think it's something that was probably popularized some time ago in the movie The Castaway with Wilson, the volleyball that was Tom Hanks' character's friend in the movie, because it was a way for him to like get out of his head and actually like talk to somebody. So I think that's some of the things, and some of the other stuff is, well, you could actually just talk to yourself, or you can free write, or you can make a list. So there are a few options on how you can get stuff out of your head, but that's what came to me today based on what I was doing, as far as, what are some things that you'd look at the difference between someone that's stuck thinking versus someone that's doing, and someone that's doing usually gets it out of their head. So that's what I got today. Thanks for joining the Productivity Push. I'm JP Adams from JP Adams Online, and I'm documenting my process of going from a thinker to doer. Thanks. Bye.